He has spun this segment into a hell of a college football afterlife for him, as now he's all over ESPN and Sports Center.
Yep. We were the mini trampoline that helped him reach such heights.
You're welcome, sir. Happy New Year, man. How are you?
Happy New Year to you guys.
Looking
I'm
good.
grateful for everything that you guys have done for me to provide these opportunities. I'm very appreciative of this platform.
You're welcome,
Thank
CC.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome. By the way, but for real, congrats, Cole. You've been
you
killing
look great
it on Sports Center. You, SVP, Stanford team, 3 bald white guys just killing it.
They were looking for the closest genetic match possible to Stanford Steve because he was going to be on site, and I was the best they could come up with. So,
You're looking great, man, and obviously the content is fantastic. We appreciate it every Friday, and thanks again heading into a new year. SEC gets another win last night in bowls with Tennessee just barely getting by, but they get the win 23-22 over Indiana. What have you made of the conference here in bowl season?
Pretty impressive overall. That was one game, I think, when I looked down all the games, I had 2 that I was really confident in. And I had one that I thought the SEC was going to lose. One was I thought Georgia was going to lose to Baylor. I didn't think that one was going to happen. But this Tennessee-Indiana game, that was kind of my coin flip game. I told the guys on the 3-man front on Jocks, my show every day, I said, I can't put my finger on this one. I said, if I had to go one way or the other, I may pick Tennessee. I said, but Indiana is one of the most fundamentally sound football teams in all college football. They don't have a ton of elite athletes. They get really good quarterback play. They made a switch about halfway through the season. They take care of the ball. They run the ball fairly well, but they dink and dunk a lot, and then they take a couple shots. Defensively, they don't have super athletes, but they're in the right place at the right times, and they're pretty efficient. So I didn't feel great about Tennessee winning that game. I thought Auburn would beat Minnesota. I thought Mississippi State would be able to go out and just bludgeon Louisville. I thought with Kylan Hill saying he was going to play in that game, and with that big physical offensive line against a lighter, sleeker Louisville defensive line, they'd be able to go right at them. And that has been my biggest disappointment in bowl season. Listen, Auburn lost to a good team. And that team came out and executed extremely well, and they had a great plan. I give Minnesota credit. They just flat out beat Auburn. But Mississippi State kind of peed down their own leg. I mean, that was – I was on the sideline for that game. That group looked disinterested. That group did not look like they really cared about that game and wanted to be a part of that game. It was disappointing to see from the conference's perspective. So last night, they showed some grit, man. That Tennessee team's tough. They got some guys that are just competitors and competitive. You can say what you want about Juwan Jennings, but that guy wants to win football games. And that guy usually gives you all effort when he's on the field and does everything he can do to help win games. You know, Trey Smith, we know his situation, him being out there and playing the way that he plays. And then for Garantano to bounce back, mainly because of performances last night a couple times in the season, but then be able to come back and have good performances. Man, it was pretty cool to watch. That onside kick was great. Yeah, and then you get a couple big plays and find a way to score a touchdown. Next thing you know, you're walking away with a bowl win. And, by the way, the league's second longest active winning streak in the SEC right now. That's crazy.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Cole Cubelic joining us here, brought to you by Edward Jones, Tex Morris, and the group over there on Jefferson Highway. All right, let's get to LSU Clemson because we have limited time with you, and I want to hear what you think on this matchup. Divinity gets back for LSU. What's that mean for the LSU defense?
I have no idea. I'll be honest with you guys. And T-Bob can kind of help me with this here, but I would be very concerned about the locker room. I would be very concerned about the huddle, the personality, the demeanor, the attitude, the feeling, more than I would be what can he give us on the field. Because I think you have enough on the field. Now, is he maybe a better player than some other guys that are going to be in at certain times? Yes. You definitely can use his pass rush because after Caleb on Chason, you don't have really another edge presence like him at different times when you might need that. But that team pretty much got here without him. And a lot of times you can disrupt things when you just throw somebody back in. In this situation, I mean, players get pissed off when a guy hadn't been going through practice and hadn't been going through weight room sessions and hadn't been watching film, and then, you're going to pop right back in and you're going to play in the national championship game. Like that. I know it sounds good in theory that, we get this body back and he's a really good player and it's going to be cool. but it does not always work that way. I think Ed Orgeron needs to be very careful with how that situation is handled. Dave Aranda needs to be careful with how that situation is handled. And I'm not saying, oh, keep punishing the kid, he shouldn't be able to play. That's not what I'm saying here at all. I'm just saying with how it's handled, if it were me, I talk to the other guys on the team, and I think Ed Orgeron does that a lot. I think Ed Orgeron pulls Joe Burrow aside. He pulls Caleb Von Chason aside. He pulls Rashard Lawrence aside. He pulls Lloyd Cushenberry aside. I think they have those conversations so he understands his team as well as any coach in college football. And so I think they'll have it handled. But to me, it's not one of those deals that's like, oh, he's back, he starts, he plays every rep, and it's going to be great. You need to be very careful with how that thing is handled because emotionally, it's the biggest game of the year. And you don't want anything to disrupt that.
Talking to Cole Cubelic of, you can catch him on WJOX Roundtable each and every day. He is also all over the SC Network, now all over ESPN, SportsCenter as well. And he is your trench warfare expert. Cole, what have you seen? Have you watched this Clemson D-line yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen him a bunch of times.
So how do they – because, like, last year that was the thing, right? The D-line was the end-all, be-all. That's how they dominated Tua and Bama. How does this year's line compare, and how do they match up with LSU?
Well, it doesn't. First off, it doesn't compare.
Okay.
You had 3 guys drafted early off that D-line last year. 4 of them were all drafted. So, 3 first-rounders. That group was just insane. They don't have – Xavier Thomas is a guy that can get you some one-on-one wins. They're good. They're not great. They're athletic, but they're not advanced technically, fundamentally, and a lot of it's because of experience. They're not super heavy inside. So I actually think you could see some of the run game get going for LSU, especially if Edwards-Helaire is healthy. And I'm assuming he's going to be because I didn't think he was going to play in that semifinal game at all. I mean, when we delivered the Joe Moore Award, he's riding around on a scooter. And I'm thinking, this kid can't even put his damn leg on the ground? How's he going to play in this game? And then he goes out there and plays, and he's like picking people up in pass protection. I was really impressed. I think LSU could have some success moving this group. The problem, T-Bob, is not necessarily the personnel. The problem's the scheme. And the scheme, to be quite honest with you, is everything. They do it all, but they run odd. They run bare. They go even front. They'll slide down in an odd front. They move. They twist. They slant. They stunt. They two-gap. They literally do everything. And so it's hard to get a rhythm against this group. It's hard to get a true feel against this group of what's going to happen each and every snap because – and I don't know how Brent Venables does it with the practice time that he has, but he installs everything, and they'll break stuff out that they haven't run in 5 or 6 weeks, and sometimes they'll do the same things week to week. So that part of it, this will be the most important portion of this game for the LSU offensive line, and really the LSU offense in general is going to be the mental side of it. And I think a guy like Isaiah Simmons is a big part of that, where he lines up because you're talking about a kid that plays middle field safety by himself, and then he'll be lining up as a buck linebacker rushing the passer. I mean, and so how do you know what defense they're in? How do you know what coverage they're in? How do you know what they're doing when you have that kind of a Swiss Army knife that's moving around and just can do – I mean, he kind of freelances like a Troy Polamalu did, but he's 6'4", 245, 250. So they have a couple of things schematically that can cause some problems. And that's going to be the biggest challenge, in my opinion, for LSU.
Yeah, it sounds actually a lot like some of the football that Aranda and company's playing, that positionless football. I want to ask you about an LSU offensive lineman, Cole, that you've been high on throughout the year, Damien Lewis. His health is kind of up in the air going into this natty. If he is not able to go or not 100%, what does that mean for this LSU team?
I don't think it's detrimental on the surface, but if you lost another one, it would be. It would be bad. Now, because the luxury that LSU has here is that Adrian McGee and Ed Ingram have both played significant, meaningful snaps this year. They both started. And so, it's not easy, and fans think it's just no big deal to go from left to right. That's actually a pretty big challenge. It's looking in the mirror. Everything is the exact opposite. But they have the game experience. They understand the speed. They understand the physicality. They have the wherewithal, the knowledge of what play calls are, and their head's not going to be spinning when things are being checked at the line of scrimmage. So that part of it is all handled and all taken care of. I think I tweeted during the game, listen, that's their best offensive lineman. So it's a loss. No matter how you spin it, no matter how you look at it, it is a loss because he has had an excellent season, especially the second half of the year. But you have two guys who played a lot of ball, and you can flip those two however you want to roll them in. And I think Ed stayed at left and Adrian went to right. So you're good there. But I think now you start to say they can't afford to lose another guard, because if they do, then you could be in some trouble.
Cole, Happy New Year, man. Thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you next week as we get closer to this game.
Happy New Year, fellas. Thanks for having me.
All right, Cole.
Cole Cubelic checking in. That weekly conversation brought to you by Tex Morris and Edward Jones. We'll be back and close it out.